Hello, my friends. I am the Dungeon Tutor. Welcome. Today, we have a question from RPGaDay. This is the 16th day, 16th question. And that is, what is an RPG that's quick to learn? Learning curve can be very, very important for a game. If it's overly complicated, it'll push players away, potentially. Honestly, back in the day, when the games were fairly complicated, because, again, they were extrapolating off of other game ideas. Like, well, many role-playing games got their ideas from Dungeons & Dragons, and the first crop that came through was looking to compare with Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, written in what some people have termed Gygaxian, because Gary Gygax was, pretty pedantic. And he used all of the big $10 words when even a 5-cent word would do. That was a trend that lasted for quite a while, and we learned role-playing games because we wanted to, because we really were willing to put up with complicated systems, we were willing to put up with obtuse language, we were willing to put up with a lot to play these games. And so the trend was, for a while, not having the most easy to learn games sometimes. If you understand the game's concept, I don't hold that very many games are all that complicated. And the ones that aren't are usually held up as a bad example of a game. Like Fatal, for instance. We're not going to talk about that. What we're going to talk about today is what makes a game easy to learn. And I hold that two things make a game easy to learn. Number one, the way the game is written. And number two, the complexity of the rules. Because if the game is written in a way that's impenetrable, it doesn't matter how simple the game's rules are if they're hard to get to. And if the game is written really simply, but it's really a complex hull, then you've got some problems. There's tables all over the place that you have to reference through the game. That's not going to get a pick from me, because now the game is really dependent on you effectively making a cheat sheet to make it easier for your players. That's a pain. Now, I will say, and I have demonstrated, that it doesn't matter how complicated a game is, if you're a game master who understands the rules and takes most of the burden for the game on yourself, you can let your players have a pretty good time almost no matter how complicated the system is. If, for instance, I'm teaching a bunch of brand new people how to play Dungeons & Dragons, and I've done this countless times, most of the time what I will tell them is that the game isn't terribly complicated. But knowing what to do and when and where and why, that's where the complexity lies. And you don't have to worry about that. I'm the game master. I know what goes where and why. And I'll just tell you, tell me what happens. Tell me what you want your character to do, what they want to accomplish. And then you just roll that die right there, the one with all the numbers, and tell me what you get. And as we go on, then I say, okay, so now, just pulling back the curtain a little bit, you want to do this. This is going to be directly impacted by this skill, because this falls under this skill. So this number that's right here, you add that to your die roll when you tell me what you want to do. When I say, you want to climb, make an athletics check. You look under the skill for athletics, and you roll the die. And you add that number. And then you tell me what that number is, and we find out if you succeed or not. That's really it. And it is quite complicated in process for a person who's never played a role-playing game before. But realistically, this game, Dungeons & Dragons, is pretty easy to learn. It's not terribly complicated. Most people, after their first session, will know the major parts of it, especially the combat. If you feature combat, it comes pretty quickly. Now, that being said, not all the classes are easy to learn. Playing an effective spellcaster, for example, can take quite a bit of practice, a bit of reading, and so on. I wouldn't call this an easy game to learn. If you are just handed a champion fighter, because they don't want to deal with you, just a champion fighter, here you go. Have fun. You could get by for quite a while without learning most of the complexities of the game, but it is still not a simple game. So, that's why I'm not picking Dungeons & Dragons. Instead, I'm going to pick an out-of-print game, which I understand does not necessarily help the widest range of people. but it is insanely easy to learn. It is a lot of fun. And if you can get a hold of this game, which still exists, I've seen it on the third-party market, it is absolutely fantastic, and it is my hope that Wizards of the Coast sees fit to bring this game back. Because this was made by TSR, and I absolutely love this game. This is Marvel Superheroes adventure game. This is the Saga game rules. Now, if you've ever seen Marvel superhero games, you know they're usually, full-size books and stuff like this. This is a digest-sized book. Soft cover only. And, you might go, I don't even remember this game. Yeah, this one flew under the radar for a lot of people. It really did. This was later on in TSR cycle. And this was a pretty revolutionary idea. It's a diceless game. Ooh, okay. I know some people really hate that. I used to cringe when I'd say diceless game. But instead it uses its own customized deck of cards. And the way this works for the game, this isn't a gimmick. This actually makes the game fun and fast and incredibly easy to play. So, character creation for this is just drawing 10 cards and putting them in order of where you want your stats and powers. It's not hard. If you have the whole list of abilities, it can be very quick. It can be very fun, actually. It's one of the more fun ways of making a character that I know of. Law of averages says you'll end up with a couple nice stats if you want to be really known for having a powerful ability, or if you want to give yourself a range of skills. Cool, you could do that. The actual skills of what your character knows is actually cleverly worked into these cards. So depending on the number of cards that you put into your attributes, and the suit because these are in 5 different suits. If the suit matches your attribute that you're putting into, you will gain more skills. You'll be more skilled, which is kind of clever. But how do you play this game? It's real simple. Say I'm playing as the Hulk. Cool. Exemplar of strength. I want to pick something up and chuck it because I'm the freaking Hulk. Okay. I've got cards in my hand. Your hand is directly related to how much punishment you can take. As you take a beating, your maximum number of cards you can have in your hand goes down. But you're constantly using your cards for whatever you want to do. So you're going to be cycling through, and you're probably going to be reserving a couple of choice cards for something that you really want to do. So for example, the Hulk is almost certainly going to be garnering every single strength suit card he has. The 5 suits are strength, intellect, willpower, and agility. And the 5th one is Doom, but Doom is a crazy one. So how this works is you play your cards, and if it's the suit of what you're trying to do, like say I'm going to try to throw something and I'm playing as the Hulk, I look for my cards. If I have any that are strength, I consider how badly I want to succeed, and I would play a card. If it is the suit that I'm trying, I have a strength card, even if it's a weak card, that is trump, and that lets me take another card from the pile and play that immediately, and add that to the total. So you can get ridiculous numbers. They can chain together if they also happen to be the same suit. So, yeah. Then you add that to the attribute or power level of what you're trying to do. So, for example, if I'm trying to chuck something as the Hulk, I would add the Hulk's beefy 20 strength, which is absolute peak. 20 strength to that. And so if I have a mediocre 4 of strength, and I play that, I'm already at a 24. That's enough to pick up a battleship. If I then draw another card and say it's a 7 of agility, now I'm up to a 31. Now I'm into cosmic range. Now I'm into taking that battleship and throwing it into orbit. It would disintegrate before it got there, but you get the idea. Battleships are not meant to be thrown into orbit. It's true. So, yeah, as the Hulk, I can do just about anything strength related within a certain amount of reason. And if I have trump in my hand, it makes it even more likely. The cards go up to 9 in most trumps except for Doom, which goes up to a 10. So if I'm playing my cards right and I have a good, solid, high-value card, I can do amazing things, which is cool. In any game or any comic book, eventually the heroes may do something absolutely phenomenal. And a lot of times that's chalked up to the writer just being sweet on them in that moment, but sometimes it's just the vagaries of fate. So this game does that, and it does it quite well. And because the whole game mechanic is simple math. Look at your number, throw a card down, see if it's trump, draw another one. People love drawing cards, and it's relatively simple addition. That's it. This is an incredibly easy game to learn. And because the characters are relatively color-coded, so that they match, you can also annotate whatever ability is attached to each attribute is attached to each ability, power, whatever you're going to do. It's really easy to find out which one is your trump and just going with that. So it's pretty cool. I love this game tremendously. And again, as soon as you spend a card, you draw another card, so your hand size stays the same. If you use Doom cards, sometimes you will do it by accident, like if you draw a Doom card out of a trump. But if you use that, that goes to the storyteller, or the game master. And your game master has a bank of the Doom cards that your group has spent. And he can use those to increase difficulties of something, to just make a menace that much more menacing, because something happens to make it more challenging. Sure, if Spider-Man is, to use an example from the book, swinging on his webs and he saves J. Jonah Jameson from falling and impacting into the ground and dying, for him that's not terribly challenging. For almost anybody else it would be, but he is the exemplar of agility, so his accuracy, yeah, no problem. He can grab J. Jonah out of the sky, no problem, with all of his skills. But then the game master pulls out a card and says, nah, J. Jameson is so enraged by Spider-Man being there, he pulls out his pen from his pocket, because he works in publishing, of course he's got a pen. He stabs him in the hand. Your difficulty just went up. What are you going to do, web crawler? And that's how you can make that game much more challenging. So Spider-Man has a permanent supply of Doom cards, I swear. That is how this game works. You now know everything you need to know to play this game. It is dead simple. And anytime I have run this game, people have just been giddy with glee that they are unshackled with having to know complicated rules or anything. It all comes down to that simple mechanic and these simple cards, which contain a wonderful amount of information for the game master, as well as useful things for the player. So yeah, easy game to learn. Wonderful little game. If you can get a hold of it, great. They also made a Saga version for Dungeons & Dragons that was themed under their Dragonlance 5th Age. It's more complicated. It's a bit more cumbersome, but effectively the similar game. It has 8 suits or 9 suits. It's more complicated. I'm sure out there's somebody who probably likes it, though, so I'm not going to poo-poo it. But this, I thought, hit the perfect balance of simplicity, flexibility, and fun play. So, that's my answer to the question. If you can get a hold of the Saga system and you love superheroes, the Marvel Superheroes Adventure game with Saga is great. And very, very easy to play. Probably the easiest game I know of. So, of course, there is another one. And I don't say this too much because right now most people can't get a hold of it because I created it. It's real simple. But I don't mind spilling the tea here because, like I said, I don't exactly intend to release this to make scads and scads of money. I'd rather people enjoy it. But I have a game called the Traveling Hat Club, and it is the simplest game to play. It's absolutely dead simple. Because to play it, you just need 10 pennies. Your character has a theme, usually 2 or 3 word description of what they are, so that your game master can judge if you're, role-playing right. So usually an adjective, noun at the very least, or maybe a couple adjectives to kind of help say, hey, I am trying to be a bratty princess. I've been bratty numerous times. I'm doing a good job. You can play anything. But you then pick a specialty, what your character is really, really good at, and you can make it up if you want. You don't need any official list. If you want to be really, really good with shooting stuff, cool. If that fits your game, go with it. If it's climbing, because your character is a mountain climber and loves climbing, cool, go with it. If you also get 3 skills, which are things that you're good at, oftentimes supporting the main thing, but not necessarily. They just flesh out your character more. And that's it. That's all there's to it. So when you're playing the game and you want to do something related to your specialty, remember those 10 pennies? You take 8 of those pennies. You grab them, you toss them, and see how many heads you get. If it's your skill, something that you're good at but not great, you take 6. And if you don't have any particular skill, you still take 4. Count how many heads you get when you toss them down. You don't have to flip each one. Just like get a shoebox or something. Just toss them into the box so you can count how many are heads. And a relatively easy thing to do is just 2 heads. Most people can do it half the time. More complicated things are higher. And that gets you by a given challenge. Whether that's combat, whether that's scaling something, or what have you. Really difficult things might require a couple successful tests, or a super successful where you get far more heads than you needed to get by that challenge. And that's it. That's really the game. Yes, you can get something that'll help you. Everybody starts out with a couple pieces of gear, which, if you have the right piece of gear to help you in something, gives you an extra coin to toss. Never a bad thing. And if you successfully go through an adventure or two and you did a really good job, you get to give yourself an extra coin for one thing. Maybe you can take your skill and get it one step closer towards it being also a specialty of yours, so that you would throw 7 coins and then maybe 8 coins if you do another one. You could do that. You could pick up a brand new skill, and instead of 4 coins throwing it down, you now have 5 coins to throw down. That's the core and soul of the game. The whole traveling hat thing comes about by a fun little mechanic I came up with, because I love how kids have boundless imagination and they get so excited and so eager. But oftentimes they have a hard time staying in one character. They think they want to approach something from a different angle. And I tie the identities of the various characters to something simple, like a prop or a hat. I like hats. It's my thing. And just by grabbing a hat and the script for the character, which is, again, just special name, concept, specialty, skills, and putting that on, they become that character, and they can tackle a challenge from a different angle, which is kind of cool. Even if 2 players, they think, wow, I could really do something if I was your character. Would you like to swap characters? And you can do it just that easily. And then that other person can tackle something from their challenge. You're not locked to one role, which I think is something that kids like, but also adults could find certain uses for. I certainly have played games where I felt kind of trapped in the character I was in and would love to have tackled something from a different angle. This game will allow that to happen. So that's my Traveling Hat Club. That is the easiest game you'll ever learn to play, because you now know everything about the game. That's all the system. So, and just 10 pennies. That's all you need. 10 pennies and you can play this game wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Enjoy it. Eventually I will publish something and we'll release it, but it's mostly just guides on how to create adventures and scenarios and what different tasks are in terms of power level and stuff like that. It's going to be just helpful things for the game master, but as far as mechanics, you know everything you need to know. So, thank you for joining me. I do appreciate you being here tremendously, and I hope that you like this, that you'll come back for more videos. Like, subscribe, notification if you want to find out that I do more. I certainly hope you do. But I just hope that you come back. Maybe even comment. That would be great, because I'd love to know your perspective, or maybe show me some game that you think is incredibly simple to learn. That would be fantastic. I always love hearing about new games, and I don't claim to know all of them, so that would be great. But until that next time, my friends, if you do come back for another video, I sincerely hope that you, yes, you, get a chance to roll some dice, to play some games, to have some fun, and to stay safe out there, my friends. Until that next time, farewell.